one of the judges in the federal trials that is the former president is going to face in upcoming months set the trial date for March 4th. This is in the special case against President Trump that Jack Smith is bringing. The U.S. District Judge for the district, Tanya Chutkan. Remember that name. It will live in infamy. She's rejected a proposal by the Trump defense team that the trial begin in April of 2026, long after the election. She instead set the date far closer to the one proposed by Smith and the government, who wanted it on January 2nd, 2024. What is really hilarious about this, and if you happen to be a criminal attorney, please dial me 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. I'd love to have some validation on this, but one of the broadcasts I do here in New York for AM 970 The Answer focuses on litigative issues every Thursday night, and we just talk legal stuff. I'm not a lawyer. I'm fascinated by the law. I think that lawyers that prove a faithful service to their clients and to the government are valuable people in our society. But I think it's interesting to see this chess match being played to the public in a way as though lawyers wouldn't know what was really going on here. So let me kind of break it down for you. You had the indictment and the perp walk and the cuffing and the fingerprinting and all the stuff that they wanted to do to try to embarrass 45. They had their moment in the sun to do that. And then they come back and they say, "Oh, we're going to go to trial quickly. We're going to put you on trial on the 2nd of January." And Jack Smith said, "Judge, you got to put him on trial on the 2nd of January." And the Trump team said, "No, we're going to ask for 2026." And the judge comes back and says, no, we can't give you that much time to prepare. We're going to make sure that you're ready for trial by March the 4th. Now, of all the dates and all the calendars in all the world, March 4th is the day that she just happened to land on. I'm just looking at this calendar, and I'm just seeing of all the choices and options that I have here. And you know what? I'm going to go with March the 4th for no reason whatsoever, except that March 5th happens to be Super Tuesday. And there's however many states, 12, 15, 16 states in it. I forget the number. It's one of the most important days of the election calendar. This judge, Tanya Chutkan, and the prosecutor in the Georgia case are both embarrassing themselves. Fani Willis and Tanya Chutkan are both embarrassing themselves because their behavior begets kindergartners on day one of preschool. Like it's they're not even in the class yet, and they're already like goofing around. Here's what happens between now and March 4th of next year. The Trump team will do a number of things in all of these cases, but they're gonna be filing mainly, especially in the state cases, for a couple of things. They're gonna want those cases moved out of the Georgia state realm, and they're gonna want to put them into the federal realm because the federal system will be one that's easier to manage and to kind of go through. But beyond that, there are a boatload of motions that will be being entered into the record between now and then that they are going to do everything from filing a motion to dismiss to filing an extension for discovery. And let me just tell you on this alleged interference in the 2020 federal case that Jack Smith is doing out of D.C., it's my understanding that there are more than 12 million documents that will be entered into the evidence. And this Tanya Chutkan joke, this joke of a judge, laughed yesterday when told by the Trump team that for proper discovery to be allowed, there's no human way that they could sit and read 12 million pages between now and March 4th. And she just kind of giggled and was like, ha ha ha, well, you already know a bunch of the stuff that's in there, ha ha ha. Friends, we talked about this yesterday. The left is trying to systematically dismantle America, and they're starting to let the evil be seen, right? That was my theme yesterday on the show. We talked about it for 3 hours. This is another example of that. There's this kind of open knowledge that this judge is dismissing the normal procedures, what would be accustomed to any other criminal defendant. They're not going to allow President Trump. Why aren't they going to give him the same rights and the same protections that they would give a serial killer or a gangbanger or anyone else? They're going to have to. And if the judge continues this kind of embarrassing behavior, chuckling at the people that are involved, chuckling at the requests that are made, there's a circuit court that oversees this court. And those judges have authoritative roles that they play over the sitting judge that's in the court, that is Tanya Chutkan. And if they don't want to be embarrassed, if they don't want to have their circuit embarrassed, they will advise their underling to comport herself differently. But I just find it amazing that we're supposed to buy all of this. This is the great lie. They sit here and they pull this stuff and they set these unrealistic dates. And by the way, I'm going on the record. They would not have made a January 2nd start date. They're not going to make a March 4th start date. It is law. He has a right to an informed defense. He has a right to have his defense know every piece of evidence that's going to be introduced as it's introduced before it's introduced. If the prosecution has had 12.8 million documents in their possession and the defense is just receiving and being made aware of what they're going to introduce, they have to have time legally to not only understand what every document says, but they have to process it and comprehend the implication of what that document has to do within the case. And then they have to have the right to prepare a proper defense of those facts. This isn't a kangaroo court. We're not in a kangaroo nation. There are still laws. And I know these Obama judicial appointees and the Biden administration and the Justice Department all think it's hilarious. What's going to be hilarious is when they get their teeth slapped back at them by their upper judges and maybe eventually the Supreme Court, because they're such lunatics with how they're proceeding at current pace.